That would be my
Okay, so the time is 6:30. I'll call this work session of the mayor and council to order. Everybody is present except for Councilman Wentz.
He stepped out to take a phone call, so that's in a minute.
We'll go over tonight's agenda first. We have the invitation and the announcements. You all should have seen a copy of the announcements. We then have ceremonial matters. And we have a certificate tonight to be presented to the recycling center. Oh, no, excuse me, to the officers that were recognized by their peers. On which we'll have those. And then we have resolution 2014-02, recognition of the Snellville Public Works Department. That is for the recycling center.
Can I add one announcement, Mayor? On February the 4th, there'll be a Snellville Days Festival Committee meeting at 6 p.m. at Briscoe in the Betty. Kirk,
I got that.
you got it already?
Well, Kirk wants to add an art commission meeting to the announcements.
Yes, please. The third Monday of February.
Okay.
Time and place,
Let's see.
5 o'clock in the community.
Community room, the 17th.
What
5 to 7.
Okay. I'm sorry, you said the 17th?
17th, yeah.
All right, got it. You all should have received a copy of the minutes from the last meeting. Does anybody have any objection or question? We have no invited guests tonight for our committee department reports. We have a report by Buddy Scott from the Downtown Development Authority. Mr. Scott here. I just want to make sure you're here to give a report tonight. Then we have a report by former Mayor Overholtzer on SPLOST. I see you in the back. And then we'll have a city manager's report tonight.
A few updates.
Under old business, we'll have public hearing, first reading on consideration action on home rule special events ordinance. This has not been in front of us before. Does anybody have any questions about this?
When we discussed it at a work session in December, I believe, and it was put off through January, the first meeting in January, and we have a resolution.
I can have a motion at the appropriate time to waive the first reading and place it on our next agenda then. Which is what, February 10th. Under new business, we have consideration on improvements to the town green. I emailed y'all everything I had on the town green from the last time. I think in the last work session, it was mentioned that we didn't spend any money with winter construction. We actually spent about $9,000 getting them to do those designs. And cost estimates for us, that was contained in one of the emails I forwarded you to Mr. Treadway. Are we gonna actually take action on this tonight?
I would like to do that. It's time to use that information that's 2-3 years old. Start compiling what we need to really do to make the improvements for the town of Green and move forward. So.
Does anybody have questions about that?
Yeah, kind of like that, the city manager, do we have a budget for that?
Well, I tried to keep this as simple as possible. There's $250,000 earmarked for completion of the green.
So what, do you need us to just make the motion to allow you to, with the consultant, to come back to us and not to exceed the,
And that's the budget we've got. Correct. That keeps us in that budget perimeter.
Well, yeah, I think the idea is to have John Davis's department and start actually looking at the old material, see what's there that can be called out that we could possibly use, if any of it. And then I'm not suggesting we spend all $250,000. I'm suggesting that we make some of the improvements that make the green more efficient for us.
Right.
And
Are you asking for just authorizing staff to get a report or figures together, or are you actually authorizing action to be taken on the town green?
Well, the action is asking our department head to start looking at ways to do that, then I would say we're asking for action.
But you're not looking at any building, you're not approving any building or anything like that at this point?
We don't have anything to approve.
Just clarifying. Okay, we then have consideration action on resolution for Greater Eastside Chamber of Commerce. I think that was on our last agenda. Does anybody have any questions about that?
That's gonna be postponed to the next meeting,
Okay.
once again. Keep doing it in this tournament.
Consideration action on approval of contract for design services of Briscoe Park Phase 2 and Briscoe Park Master Plan Update. Again, that was on our last agenda. It was postponed till tonight. Are we ready to go forward?
I think we are. That is, I guess the best way to really look at that, and I've got a few slides showing the existing improvements out there at the softball area, and then the rendering that HDR had done in the past showing the two-field complex, the increased parking, the drainage. The best way to explain that is it's really broken into two parts. The geotech, the design, and the construction phase inspection is $139,500. The Briscoe Park Master Plan update is $13,500. I think we discussed last time the timing of the plan update. And the good thing about this, if this gets approved tonight, the plan is to have everything done, improvements and everything, by Snellville days of 2015. So that HDR thinks that's a reasonable schedule. And then we'll have the master plan update done in between, and you'll have a...
After, the master plan update will not be part of the motion tonight.
Yes, I'm asking that it be.
What, I thought we wanted to wait for we talked.
No, but we had talked about it at the last work session, and it just,
I really think that's the best schedule. That way, as we're making this improvement, which is really the last improvement for of the last two SPLOST piles of money, we'll have a master plan going forward for the designating the new SPLOST money. And a lot of things have happened in recreation since the last master plan update. Last master plan.
There was an amphitheater in the last update, which is no longer.
in phase 3, right?
Yeah,
A lot of things have, lacrosse has gotten bigger.
This will just approve the funds then to get a master plan update,
Absolutely.
not an actual master plan.
Yes.
Ms. Platt, anything you want to add? Anybody have any questions for Lisa? Here we have Mayor's nomination, Council's confirmation of Ms. Staples to the Urban Redevelopment Agency. This is a carryover. I had her originally on our December 13th agenda. Plan on putting her nomination up tonight. We have been the same with Penny Smith. And Councilman Wentz, I believe you have Todd Warner for that same position.
I do.
We then have Claudette Forbes. I know this wasn't on an agenda previously, but we've had 2 resignations now from the Art Commission. And so if someone's absent, they will not have a quorum. So I'm putting Ms. Forbes up. We're all familiar with Ms. Forbes. We've had her application for some time, so I'm putting her up for the Art Commission.
Mayor, who are the 2 resignations? On the street?
Well, we had the vacancy from Shannon Foster, and now Shannon Foster resigned, and now Rhonda Street has resigned, so.
Okay.
there's
But
only
they still
4.
have a quorum, they still have 4.
Right, but if
Right,
somebody's
so-
absent, they won't have everybody has to be there to have a quorum, so putting that up tonight. We then have our work session agenda, update on iPads. I had asked this to be put on the agenda for tonight. We all use the iPads, and, 2 years ago, we went to the iPad so that city wouldn't have to make copies for every one of our agenda packets and save those costs in copying. So our iPads are the first version. They are gonna do away with updates for that, so in the next few months, we will not be able to use the first version of the iPads. I know some of us use the iPads and some of us don't, so I put this on for discussion to see if we wanna get updated iPads, if we wanna discontinue the use of the iPads, or what council wants to do.
You say in 2 months they won't work, or we
I
just
think-
won't have updates?
They won't work. There's new generations, and so the first generation is not gonna be operable, in the next few months. According to the reports.
I think we need to look into that. It may not be updated, but we can't see it just
Stopping.
stopping.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that happen. Yeah, I think we need to look into it and find out what the real story is.
Well, in order to use it, we're gonna have to be able to access the internet and Adobe, and so if we don't have those updates, we won't be able to access those in order to pull up our agendas, but, I had asked IT department to look into this before I put it on the agenda, but I don't guess we have a report tonight.
You want to go back, you want to go ahead and get a report from IT?
Just an operational report and then
I'll tell you that
a
you
budget figure.
When you do it, I use a Surface, so I would not need it,
I do use it for the city.
Yeah.
Update would be nice.
Sorry, I'm old. I like
And
old and just old.
I'm a combo user, little paper.
sounds like
So
it's
we will
1980.
have, we'll ask if we can put it on the next work session agenda with a report from Erica about the iPad situation and maybe a cost estimate, what it will cost for updates. We would have 3 options then. We can go back to paper, we can get the updates from the iPads, or we can provide ourselves with our own electronic devices.
Also find out if there's any market at all for the used ones, so we can get anything back.
Mhm. Maybe a trade-in policy or something. Buyback policy. Okay. Discussion of the SPOS project list. I think y'all have seen emails from Randy. The county is asking for an updated list, so I wanted to put this on for tonight and see if anyone wanted to bring anything to our attention. Everybody's okay with what we have? You okay with what?
This is you're talking about the new schools going forward.
I'm
Currently,
talking about I'm talking about our 20 or 25 joint with the county.
we have had several meetings with the county DOT regarding the set-aside money, the $25 million that we have to match. Mayor Oberholzer has been very helpful in that regard. You know, the 2 projects that we put forward were Oak Road and the East Main sidewalk connecting Rockdale in the school. One of the handouts, Mayor, that you sent out included Gwinnett Public Schools proposal to add, I think, about 600 feet of sidewalk on Skyland along the South Gwinnett property, which is helpful. But other than that, that's why I put on the proposed potential retreat agenda a discussion of other SPOS projects specific. We have broken it down by recreation, public safety, administration, but we need to discuss specific projects in those pools or categories of money. I'm not sure if Mayor Oberholzer is reporting on, anything regarding that, but I was hoping at the retreat we could have that discussion.
Mayor, anything you want
I was just going to say, we have a lot of different amounts of monies to different things. That school is a school safety project, and that's just one of them. We've already met on other ones, which I'll report, and we have actually meetings scheduled till almost April to allot different projects. So none of our other projects have come up. I'm in discussion with the staff up there at Gwinnett County with different projects, so I can report that at that time.
Are you just doing the joint, or are you doing the ones that are county exclusive?
The Citizens Project Selection Committee looks at all the county projects, and then we were told that we would also be reviewing what was submitted by the cities to the county as joint projects. So that $25 million that's set aside, or not, what is it, $25 million that's set aside
Yeah.
for joint projects are supposed to come through our committee for review. Now, we haven't got to those yet.
So this Skyland Drive, 600 foot of sidewalk for South Gwinnett High School is not even part of what we were requesting.
That's correct. That's been set aside in the safety school. There's a school project safety amount that we had allocated so much money. I had requested that we do sidewalk all the way down Skyland, but they gave us 600 feet, which is, if you notice, I think that's the only high school in our area that got any kind of money set aside. So that was voted on. That is on our official list, which will go before the county commissioners for
And is
approval.
Oak Road joint, or is that county? Because there's some talk about either.
Well, sidewalk, we have $27 million set aside for sidewalk, and that's probably going to be the most contentious amount of where we go. I mean, my plan was to ask for it under the sidewalk projects.
Okay.
But, I'm trying to,
Put as much into that.
I'm trying to get as much as I can. Yeah.
And so what Randy has requested.
Unless you all don't want me to, but.
Oh, no, go for it.
What Gwinnett Municipal has requested is that for our joint list, that all the cities come up with what we would like to see on that joint list and give it to GWMA by, I think, end of March. So that's why I put it on tonight's agenda, so that we can begin those discussions as what we want to see on our joint list to ask for. It'll still have to go through the citizens panel, but GWMA is trying to compile a list of all the city joint projects to look at the different figures for the budget. So we'll just put that on your radar, and we will put it, if you can look at the list, the preliminary list, try to prioritize things, and we'll put it on the next work session agenda to get some
We
feedback.
have the lines on this one?
I thought we had that list, and I thought these two projects were what we were submitting for
We
actual.
do, but they're more money than what's probably gonna get allocated, so we need to decide.
They're more
That-
money than what's gonna get out.
That's for the set aside. We also had an earlier letter where we talked about North Road improvements, for instance. We talked about,
Right,
we talked about the end of the
Wisteria.
Wisteria intersection,
Yeah.
which can't be done in 3 years. But, you know, engineering could be in design.
okay.
We talked about some other issues, maybe Tree Lane was on there, but we can, that's the overall list. That's the category, the money that we have set aside in the categories, that's the transportation category. We've got to come up with that list, we got to come up with the recreation list, and then there was a little money in there for public safety, I think, to finish out the camera system.
Oh, well, for radio.
And all,
The
yes.
radios are gonna be obsolete.
So, you know,
We'll have to replace them one way or the
so
other.
those are the things that we put into a comprehensive list, and it has to be budget restrained.
So
I
we
mean,
can do
we've
that
got
at
about
the
$8
retreat.
million, and that's it.
That's all we can be thinking
And
about.
at the retreat.
That's the joint, the 8 million is the joint.
What's that,
No,
Dave?
That's ours.
That's just us.
What's our pot of money?
Yeah, okay.
The $8 million is what we're gonna get from the 3-year SPOS total, not, it's not part of the 25 million that's joint.
Right.
Discussion of home rule special events ordinance. No one had any questions when it was on the regular agenda, we have something now?
Do you want to speak to that at all?
Well, you know, everybody got a copy of it. You can see it's designed for special events. It's tracks legislative authority that the legislature approved. They had their recommended language. We adopted most of that. And it just follows your enabling legislation from the state and adopts their terms.
In case, this is for, there are a lot of home brewers in, a lot in Snellville, but there's a lot in Gwinnett County too. And they like to, all this does is allow them to buy a permit to serve their beer. They cannot charge for beer, they can't sell their beer. But they do, for instance, case in point of Swanee. Swanee, when they had one of their festivals, had a home brew section where they had home brewers there giving away their beer, but they were taking the law because they couldn't give away their beer. All this does is allow them to have a permit in order to do that. It's been adopted, it's in front of Gwinnett County, it's in front of Swanee, it's in front of most of the cities of the county, and all this does is keep us in line with the county and the other municipalities. But they would still have to come to us, they still have to get a permit. All this does is say that they're able to do that, not that we have to give them.
So they're permitted, but they're not licensed.
They don't have to be licensed, they're not required to have a license by the state.
Okay.
But they cannot sell their beer, they have to give it away.
They have to buy a permit to be able to give something away.
Exactly right.
So,
Americans.
so we have a function in the community center. And
I don't know about the community center,
Yeah,
but
well,
they don't
You
allow
can't
the
have
community
alcohol
center.
there.
just
On the
wherever,
green.
on the green,
green,
okay. So I bring my little booth and my beer, and the next guy brings his, and we got 10 of us, okay? So all I'm doing is giving it out.
Yeah,
Beer tasting.
Samples.
beer tasting,
Samples.
yeah, samples, yeah, you're not.
Just for the pleasure.
You're not giving out growlers.
Right.
If you are, I'm first in line.
Okay.
But a lot of these craft brews that are around, Red Brick, Sweetwater, they started that way. And, you know, you build a clientele and they start asking, you know, bartenders and restaurants, why don't you have this, why don't you have this? That's how they go from 25 gallons to 2,500 gallons. So, and Dave, this permit, just like all our permit fees, it just covers our cost.
Oh.
You know, we aren't
I
making
just
any
like the
money.
irony of buying something so you can get something away.
I know, I'm just defending government.
It's kind of like
Again, all this really does, the only reason for us to even consider this is so that our tourism trade people have the same advantage on this, in this area that Grayson, Loganville, and the county have, okay? That, Grayson, I believe, has already passed it. I don't know about Loganville, I know Grayson has. So that's all it's for, just to keep us in tune with everybody around us.
Mr. Brown, you put enough specifics in here, I think, that John and his staff can come up with the permit application.
Yes, sir.
Best practices for board appointments.
Yes, this came up at a URA meeting we had this past month. And it came up about the two positions that were available for URA. And one position and Mr. Warren's position. And Chairman Kirkland brought up a very good point. And the more I thought about it, the more I talked to some of the other council people, it makes sense. What happens is we put people on boards because they have applied and they say, I want to be on the board. They don't really know what that board is even involved. They don't even know what kind of time frame they're going to have to do, how much time it's going to take, what it involves. And as Mr. Kirkland said, he thinks, and I'm agreeing with him, that we do it the wrong way. We have at the legislative level, take a person and tell them, okay, you're on the URA. They've never been to a meeting, they have no idea personalities on board. Those personalities have no idea who that person is. They don't know what the URA does. So this way, what we would do is the applications that they would come in would go to the URA, go to the PDA, go to the rec board, go to the different boards, and let them vet these people. And they can require them to come to a meeting to see if the person fits, to see if they understand it, make sure they have an understanding of how many hours it's going to take to do that. And then the URA can then bring whatever number of applicants they have to the mayor for the mayor's appointment from that board. But at least that way, we'll have people who are vested in the board. Right now, we're running somewhere between 30 and 40% fallout on our boards. People get on them, they're off. They don't last, they don't show up. We need to have people on these boards that are vested in it, that want to belong to it, that understand it, and that are willing to put in the time necessary to do it correctly. I think this is something that would make that. Does not take away anything the mayor's told, makes her appointment based on the applications that they see, but at least these people, when they get appointed to a board, will know what they're getting appointed to, and know what kind of commitment they have. So that's all I'm saying, and I'd like to run that by all of us and see if we agree with it, and if we do, then find out what we have to do to put that. I don't think it's a big deal. I think, you get 2 people who want to be on URA, 3 people want to be on URA, you have an opening. As the applications come in, they go to that board contacts them, that board vets them, that board makes sure they understand exactly what's involved, and then they present those people to the mayor, and the mayor makes a selection.
As mayor, my decision who to nominate, when to nominate them, I think it's a good suggestion, and it's all taken under advisement and possibly work with the boards in the future, but I am going forward with tonight's nomination.
Okay, yeah, but again, Mayor, that's fine, but I will, let you know now that I'm not supporting any nominations until we vet this and see what we're gonna do. So I can't support
State in
that.
my place that I've talked extensively with both Ms. Smith and Ms. Staples. They've been on the website. They know what the time commitments are, and they know what the functions are of the URA. Ms. Forbes has attended meetings of the Arts Commission, and so she does know what's involved in that.
Well, I have sent all 4 of those applicants. I know that I wouldn't be supported based on the current conditions that are going on right now, plus the applications that are coming in that we still haven't had the opportunity to.
That's your prerogative. Do we need to have an executive session tonight?
We do.
Okay.
Have 4 litigation matters.
Do I have a motion?
If I may bring up one other, do we have anything we need to discuss about the retreat? Are we going forward or not? It is coming up on Friday.
It's not on the agenda, so if we need to have some discussions individually afterwards, happy to do that, but it's not on tonight's agenda.
Can we not add it to the agenda? It's a discussion item.
Discussion.
That's fine.
Not on a published agenda, so I'm not inclined to add it. There's no emergency for it, so.
Well, Friday's coming kind of quick. I think we need to get a decision made. So if we need to talk after the meeting, we can do that, but I think we need to
I
get a
sent an
decision
email
made.
out to y'all earlier today that I'm happy to talk to anybody that wanted to call me, and I haven't received any phone calls.
I emailed you, and I got a response. I didn't.
I said, I'm happy to call, if you want to call me, I'm happy to talk to you about it.
That's
I'm
not,
happy
they
to-
contact me, and I contact you by email, and back to response.
Happy to talk to
I
you
asked the
after the
city attorney,
meeting.
we have to, can we not discuss this?
You
What's
can-
your opinion?
Yes, you have a work session where you can it's not really a voting meeting. You can bring up general topics of discussion. But in this instance, I mean, I think the mayor's, discussing it with the mayor is the key ingredient. And if she doesn't want to discuss it, it doesn't do anybody good.
Well, that's fine, I will bow to her wishes on this, but we do need to get a
During
decision.
the work session of the mayor and city council of Snellville, Georgia, Mayor Council announced certain matters to be discussed in the closed session of the meeting. To discuss pending and or potential litigation, settlement claims, administrative proceedings, or other legal actions in connection with the OCGA section 14-3.
Maybe too late. I don't know.
Upon a motion of council member,
Howard?
seconded by council member,
Kraus.
the meeting was closed, calling council members and mayor present and voting. Mayor Kraus, yes. Councilman Bender.
Yes.
Councilman Manuel.
Yes.
Councilman Howard.
Yes.
Councilman Kraus.
Yes.
Councilman Wentz.
Yes.